On today's video, civil wars in Rise of Kingdoms are a big thing. They happen more often than you think. They happen for many different reasons, primarily mightiest governor conflicts, rule breaking, and invasions of kingdoms. But this specific civil war we're about to cover is a bit different, is one that I had not seen before, especially with this reason, because, believe it or not, it seems like two cultures collided really badly in here. So sit back, slap a like on the video, and let's go. Hey there, YouTube. Welcome back to Gekko Gaming. Haid are about to try to take this Lost Temple away from T-God as things are going crazy in Kingdom 2087. Before we tell you that story really quickly, a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video. This video is brought to you by the makers of Infinite Galaxy. Infinite Galaxy is a mobile strategy game that takes place in space. You've been enlisted as a spaceport general and your job is simple. Grow your spaceport, your space fleet, and engage in combat with other players and environment elements across space. You will command a set of crew members, flagships, and warships, which will help you conquer space. And with the help of your alliance and alliance mates, you can defeat spaceport defenses, claim star systems, and expand your footprints in space. Whether you're a player versus player or player versus environment enthusiast, a spender or a free-to-play player, Infinite Galaxy has all is needed to cater your gaming experience. Check it out using the link down below, and thank you again to Infinite Galaxy for sponsoring this video. Okay, so Haid are single rallying this Lost Temple. In a moment, a couple of extra rallies are going to show up from the three teams on the one side that are going up against, I guess, 1.5 teams, you can call them, because one of the two alliances that was getting fought, I'm assuming they're a farm or there's something like that, because they're not as strong as the main one. So don't quote me on that, on them being weak or something. It's just how it looks based on the power. So here are the combatants in this fight. We have Haid on the one side, and they are, or sorry, ULYS on the one side, and they are allied with Haid. This is a 7 million power alliance, I believe, and no, a 4.6 billion power alliance. That is on the one side. With them in this journey is Gaia, a 6 million power alliance. I was close there, and they're going up against VB and T-God. VB being a 3.4 billion power alliance, and T-God, I believe, is the 7 billion power alliance, for 6.9 something, 6.2. And with them, against VB, for the record, is also Haid, who are the big boys in theory. Well, they were before they started getting smacked in this fight. And so it was Haid, ULYS thing, whatever the heck they're called, and sorry about that, ULYS, I was right. And Gaia versus VB and T-God. Now, when I reached out to these guys, it was, hey, what's going on? Like, why are you warring? 90% of you guys said, and rightfully so, this is probably a mightiest governor conflict. This is probably a crazy situation, like they're defending a player, like a lot of speculations, the things we're used to. But it turns out that it's nothing like this at all. And as a matter of fact, this is one of the rare instances where two groups of people did not get along. Kind of crazy, right? Two groups of people not getting along. Is that all? Yes and no. Here is the thing about this story that is really intriguing. On the one hand, you have a group of folks that are an international group with Gaia, Haid, and ULYS. By those guys, some of those guys replied to me, and the majority of them were in English, but there were a few that were, a couple replied in Russian, a couple replied in other languages. So it's safe to assume, I'm not going to say they're English only or Westerners only. There is a mixed group of people within this council that is Haid, ULYS, and Gaia. Now, granted, apparently, Haid owned the Lost Temple prior to all this, and T-God took it away from them. From my understanding, and again, this is both sides telling me a very similar story, except that they both told me entirely different things, but it adds up, is that the one side is extremely aggressive, is extremely, is not thinking things through, and is all about, like, power and fight, and not about strategy and thinking. And on the other side, I was told that the other side are a bunch of crybabies who don't want to fight, who always look for peace and always look for diplomacy over fighting at any cost. And so one side says the other side is extremely aggressive. The other side says that the one side are pussies, essentially. Now, it doesn't matter who's who in this story, right? Both sides could have said the same thing about the other side, and probably both sides said the same thing about the other side. But where this becomes really interesting is, where is one side, what's the common denominator between one side and the other side? And then I come to find that, from my understanding, VB and the guys in TGOD are primarily Vietnamese. The V for it, I guess, stands for Vietnamese. And when that dawned on me, everything made a lot more sense. Now, here's the thing. Before, again, I'm going to put a quick disclaimer. This is not profiling. This is not racial. This is not hatred. This is not marking negatively. This is no negative connotation to what we're about to say. I'm saying this purely as part of what it really is. And that is, the Vietnamese community in Rise of Kingdoms is extremely strong, extremely outspoken, and very passionate. So when they need to war, it's not like, oh, well, let's go to war. It's like, crazy war. And they go nuts and they take it seriously and they and they're very intense. And what I am assuming happened here, and I'm assuming this as we get to see the beautiful Frownies march their way home from TGOD, and there were a lot of them that marched home. What I'm assuming is that the Vietnamese in here came off a little bit too strong, and there was a situation in which these two had an argument of sides that came due to a potential KVK result or previous result or something like that. And this sparked the situation in which these guys are going nuts at each other. And I mean, we have reports out the wazoo to show you guys of massive, massive losses. People got zeroed big time. A lot of people got zeroed. A lot of buildings also got hit. Defenses on fortresses and on passes and on everywhere possible. We have reports all over the place. Triple rallies, double rallies. I believe this is the double rally that you haven't seen that came prior to the triple rally that finished the deal, which is the next report. And while this looked very bad for TGOD, it got so much worse when they lost the temple. But anyway, the whole point of this story, of this civil war, is pretty much a culture that couldn't get along with another culture in a nutshell. And if there's one thing I would like to encourage you guys as a point to take out of this video is, even at the maddest that you can get, and even at the most upset you can get, and even at the most condescending you feel like someone else is being towards you, it's always hard to understand what goes on the other side, especially if it's something that is cultural. It's a group of people. I can tell you, as an Israeli, that Israelis are very are a little bit more aggressive. Middle Easterns in general, our vibe is a bit more aggressive than the than the Western civilization. While in here we speak loud and with hands and with motions. In some places that comes out a little too aggressive, and so, in this particular scenario, what I believe happened is a conflict between two big groups, which led into an attempt of taking over the kingdom by one side or the other, and kicking the other side out. One side tried to kick the other side out, and in return, the other side tried to take over the kingdom. And it's like a whole sorts of a messy situation. But remember one thing before you go out to burn someone or banish someone from your kingdom. Understand that there are multiple cultures playing this game, multiple types of people playing this game, and that you are not necessarily going, oof, this so much pain to VB. Nikita came to VB to try to help hold that. That did not hold at all. But anyway, there's so many different groups of people out here, and there's so many different types of cultures in Rise of Kingdoms, and so much diversity in our community. Do not allow anger to fuel your judgment. Do not allow negative connotations that are emotional rather than on paper type of things to cloud your judgment. At the end of the day, for the Vietnamese guys in here, this might have not been the most aggressive kingdom like they wanted it to be. But on the other hand, they might have gotten their butts kicked if their team wouldn't have necessarily done something to create like the diplomatic situation that happened. I don't really know too much. That's as far as I want to go with it. But the final thought here is, remember there are other cultures. Remember that there are other things. Don't take too much offense to things. And sometimes something that one person will tell you might seem completely condescending or completely talking down to you or cussing you out or against everything you stand for. But all it is a lack of communication, which with a little bit of extra patience can go a long way. And I can promise you, I've had plenty of situations in which I was ready to kick and zero someone, and the only reason it didn't happen is because in the back of my head, I remember you'd never know what's on the other side. Breathe. Let's make sure that this is not, a one-time thing. So yeah, 2087 went into a civil war. People got zeroed all over the place. That sucks. Hopefully T-God and VB find themselves a new home if they choose to leave 2087. I'm assuming Haid and their friends are not going anywhere, so that's going to be a little bit of a problem. Hopefully they'll let these guys at least have some time to migrate before they get completely zeroed. But I'm Gekko. I'm out of here. Please drop a like on this video. Subscribe down below. Take care. Have a good one. Peace.